Hi, my name is Chad Flynn and I am an electrical instructor at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. And today I would like to discuss with you the use of ePortfolios in vocational education. Now before we get too far down here, I wanted to say one thing. I honestly believe that Canada has the best vocational education system in the world, bar none. The fact that we have a harmonization initiative this year just shows that the government is very invested in this, and the fact that they want to make sure that the training I receive in any province across the country will be the same so that I can port my apprenticeship across the whole country at any given time. I think that is a brilliant move. However, I do think that there are a couple areas that we need to work on. Now, before we get into it, there's a few stats that I want to throw at you. In 2016, the latest census data that we have on apprenticeships, it was found that there were 417,300 registered apprentices in Canada. Let me say that again. 417,300 registered apprentices in Canada. That is a 200% growth since the 1990s. I started my apprenticeship in 1995. So it just shows that it is absolutely skyrocketed since then. Now here's the deal, is we are seeing the demographic of trades-based people pursuing trades-based education changing. It used to be stigmatized that, vocational education was that area that those who couldn't handle it in school, well, then you would get put in shop class. And then from shop class, you'd probably go on to a vocation and get a trade, and then, you'll do well, which is true. That's the way it used to kind of be looked at, but the demographics are changing. Let's look at Kathy Chakwe. Kathy says, after high school, I took business administration and worked in an office. But I hated it, she says. I never considered a career in the trades, but I wanted to be active and move around. So I took an 18-week program for women in the trades. Kathy has now been an electrician for 26 years and is a humongous advocate for trades-based training and especially for women in the trades. So we're seeing the demographics of vocational education changing. Now, the Industry Training Authority of British Columbia has stated that 80% of the education occurs on your job, which makes sense, hands-on training, and 20% occurs in the classroom. I want to discuss those two percentages with you. Let's talk first about that 80%. That 80% of hands-on training, there is no real way to assess, aside from your boss saying you're doing a good job, but there's no way to assess or provide evidence of any of the training that you've received. If for some reason you end up being laid off or having to move on to another job, basically it's your word saying that you can do the work. And then you have to go on to prove it. There's no evidence or no way to show evidence of the work you've done before. That's an area that I want to discuss and kind of talk about how we can fix that. Now, as far as the classroom training is concerned, it is scaffolded. And what I mean by that is all the information that we have learned, the first year information, the second year information builds on top of that. The third year information builds on top of that, and the fourth year information builds on top of that. It's scaffolded. All the information builds on the previous years. Also, unfortunately, there's this idea that this in-class portion of the schooling is just a hoop you have to jump through. The theory, who cares about that? I just need to get this stupid schooling over and move on. I believe that we can make the classroom time a much more richer environment. And I think that there are two areas that we really need to showcase and talk about, and I'm going to discuss them next. And I think that there is a solution for it. Number one, a solution for curating and processing the information and the knowledge that these apprentices will receive in the classroom time, as well as on the field, but mostly in the classroom time. And also two, a place to showcase and provide evidence of the hands-on skills that they've received. I would love to discuss the use of ePortfolios in addressing these two issues I brought up. Now let's talk about the word portfolio. When I say portfolio, I would not fault you at all for thinking of an artist or say an investment banker or a stockbroker. They use portfolios all the time. Now let's use the artist as an example. An artist will create a piece of art. They'll take that art and they will store it in their portfolio. They'll put the portfolio off to the side where it's being stored and curated. When it comes time that they need to provide evidence, they can pull out their portfolio and pull out their piece of art and show evidence of the work that they've done. The same thing is with investment bankers or stockbrokers. They can take information about their investments that they've made in the past, store them, pull it out, and provide evidence of previous investments. Why can't we do that with vocational education? Now, with the advent of the internet and Web 2.0 tools, there are applications that have been designed specifically for this purpose. And there are applications called ePortfolios or electronic portfolios. Now, Dr. Helen Barrett, a prominent researcher in the field of ePortfolios in regards to education, defines an ePortfolio as this. An ePortfolio is an electronic collection of evidence that shows your learning over time. Why can we use that for vocational education? In her paper, Balancing the Two Faces of ePortfolios, Dr. Barrett discusses how an ePortfolio has two uses. One would be a workplace, and one would be a showcase. Let's talk about the workplace. A workplace would be an area that the student, the apprentice, can store information that they've learned. Whether it's their notes or PDFs or pictures, it's just an area that they can gather the information that they are learning about in classroom or on the field, and they can organize it so it suits them. They can create their own resources through this. And also, it's an excellent opportunity for them to reflect on what they are learning in their specific context. This is huge, this area of reflection, and I do not have any time to go into discussing it during this 10-minute talk, but there is a huge part of formative assessment that can be used within the ePortfolio itself. Two, the ePortfolio can be used as a showcase. So what the apprentice can do is they can take video of their work. They can take pictures of their work, documentation of certificates, or maybe micro-badging or micro-credentialing that they've received, and store this within the ePortfolio. So when it comes time to provide evidence of work and of skills that they've obtained, they can pull this out and showcase it to possible future employers, to teachers, to other people that they've worked with, or it's just an area of pride that they want to show the work that they've done. Now, due to my limitations in time, and I could discuss this much further, and Dr. Helen Barrett has, I will just refer you to her website, and I would highly recommend checking out her TED Talk on YouTube. And I'll provide the information in the slide that I have on right now. So I'd like to propose to the Institute the use of a design challenge. Now, what I'm proposing is this, that we would take different trades at different levels throughout the Institute, volunteers, different apprentices, and we would bring them in to help design a template for their various contexts, various levels, various trades. Now, how this would look is this. We would take them through a scaffolded process, looking at the matrix that I'm providing right now. They would come in not knowing anything about ePortfolios and probably having very little skills in regards to creating an ePortfolio. And as we would take them through the scaffolded process, by the end of it, they will know exactly how to describe what an ePortfolio is and its benefits, as well as have the skills in place to be able to build an ePortfolio. Now, sitting down to build this, they're going to be given certain parameters. And these parameters are going to be as follows. 1, it needs to be visually appealing and easy to use. 2, it needs to be built with a specific set of design principles, and I'll go over with them exactly what I mean by that. 3, they have to provide an instructional video on the basics of using the template. 4, it needs to be mobile responsive. These days, everything is being watched on our phone. Everything's being used through our phone, so we need to make sure that we have access to that via phones. 5, it needs to be cloud-based, so whether I can access it on my phone or her computer or their laptop, it can't be locked to any one device. And 6, it needs to be shareable. So they need to be able to showcase the information that they have had and go on and show that. I honestly believe that the use of an ePortfolio can be transformational in an apprentice's life and can be transformational for vocational education as a whole. I am a gigantic advocate for co-creation of resources with students. I've been doing it now for the past couple of years as an instructor in my education program that I teach. And I honestly believe that reflection is essential. And I believe that having a place that students can curate their information and an area that they can go through a scaffolding reflective process is just exactly what an ePortfolio would be made for. I think that the Institute, by taking this step in this direction, could help be a pioneer in the way that trades education is done in Canada and could make something that is relatively good, something that could be absolutely phenomenal and even better. Thank you so much for your time, and I would look forward to having any discussion that you would like to have with me in the use of ePortfolios and trades-based education, and I hope that you have a fantastic day. Thank you very much.